Hello,
Hi,
hello.
welcome to this week's episode of the Black Tower Podcast. If you're joining us for the first time, I'd like you to pull up a nice candle, grab a soothing yet comforting beverage, and I want you to get comfortable as we take you on a journey through the tainty deliciousness that is the madness of the Wheel of Time from the perspective of the Black Tower Podcast. I'm your Soravan Mahale. My name is Josh. I'll be guiding you throughout this whole evening.
My name's Brenda.
My name's Andrew. Andy, if you're nasty. Hi.
oh.
Good
Oh no.
Tuesday afternoon to you, mine
How's it
brothers
going?
and sisters.
As we are
To you.
officially in the hole a week.
Yeah, we are. We did. That's my
We're
bad. We're
behind
gonna
a
catch up
week.
though. We're gonna catch up.
We got to catch up and then get
We
ahead of
gotta
the
catch
curve
up,
again.
and we also have to mustard. Just saying.
All right. Well, this has been a fantastic episode.
I'm gonna process Josh's termination paperwork.
Bold of you to think I'll be doing any kind of paperwork.
Any kind of it's the holidays. You can't do paperwork on the holidays. I think I
I
saw
mean,
a rule somewhere like it's the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not paperwork on thine holidays. The voice of
who knows?
God.
So, in life, we'll do a quick life update. I guess we haven't really talked about what's going on in our lives recently to
Oh
anybody other
yeah.
than ourselves. Um, So I went to a new eye professional at Duke Medical Institute in Raleigh and found out that all previous descriptions of keratoconus, which is the condition I have for my corneas, have been wrong. And it makes a lot more sense why it's called keratoconus because my corneas aren't peaks and valleys all over. My cornea is shaped like a freaking cone.
Hmm.
Keratoconus makes a lot more sense now. Um, Also found out the chief way to make my keratoconus worse, apparently,
Yeah.
rubbing my eyes. Guess what I have done a ton, especially since getting contacts? Rub
I
my eyes because nobody ever told me that.
I've noticed you rubbing your eyes like our entire friendship.
Yeah, it's kind of always been a thing,
How
especially
crazy
by
is
this time. Like I work in IT, and by this time of day, when I get home, my eyes are kind of bugging me. They'll kind of go in and out. I can do the artificial tears drops and they'll help for a moment, but they don't really help that super long. Um, but they got me doing allergy drops once a day in each eye, so I do that in the morning. I try to do it at night before I go to bed, so I can sit in my eyes all night to help. But we'll see.
it's my eyes. I did go to an eye doctor. I went to an optometrist because I was like, "Hey, let's get my eyeballs checked out." Because I am, a man of a certain age, and I noticed that when I was looking at my phone, I was doing this. Like I was like, you know,
Mhm.
moving the phone, trying to get to the good sight. And the guy checked out my eyeballs and was like, "Okay, you got really healthy eyes, actually." Like he did like all the mapping and all the stuff. And he said the thing is, though, is you've got what's called presbyopia. And I was like, "Oh no, what's that?" And
No,
he's like, "It's a Greek
Presbyterian
word."
Pia.
Yeah. He says it's a Greek word and it translates into old man eyes. So now I have readers that I put on. Mostly it's in the mornings or like at night, like when my eyeballs are tired and I'm trying to read
Mhm.
something. I'll slip them on real quick. During the day is usually not too bad. But he was like, "Yep, yep, get used to that. That's going to start being a thing and it's just going to decline. Right now your eyes are very very healthy. It's just the pieces that focus are worn out from you being alive longer than you should be. Because our bodies, we're supposed to die at like 38. Man, we're not supposed to make it past 38. And
Fucking, I only
humans,
got 7 years. All right.
us humans have evolved past that, but the rest of our bodies didn't get the memo, and it's all like, hey, by the way, you think we should die soon? Nah. All right. I'm gonna still deteriorate anyway. Cool.
Our biology was designed for us to get eaten up by that cougar in our sleep around the age of 38 or before. Thanks to modern medicine and
Thanks to
construction.
modern medicine.
Uh,
Screw you, modern. Actually, you know what industry has impacted the life expectancy of humans more than the medical industry?
agriculture.
Nope.
Uh,
Environmental controls.
oh,
Turns out when you can go to a warm home in the middle of winter and have it be warm, no matter what, you can survive much more easily.
oh yeah, yeah. Because there is a thing, every time we have extreme weather temperatures, where there's a massive concern about the homeless
Yep.
population. Rightly so. So it
Rightly
makes
so.
sense.
Yep. But yeah,
Yeah.
exposure is one of those things that kills, indiscriminately. And when you have a heating and air conditioning in a home that can handle, any kind of heating and air conditioning, your chances of survival skyrocket.
Yeah,
Isn't that
that makes sense.
crazy?
Well, I'm getting glasses too because they were able to. They believe get a glasses prescription, which is wild because I was always told glasses would never work with my eyes. Um, so that should bring my right eye to 2020 and my left eye to 2030 or something like that. So I've ordered those to see how they'll go, to see if I can give my eyes breaks from the contacts.
Hmm.
Because that would be great if I can. But that's what's going on with me. Fun.
Excellent. Excellent.
You know
Well,
what else is a lot of fun?
what else
Whatever
is a lot
Josh is about to talk about.
of just whatever you're giving me carte blanche there. Hey, I like that. That's
I mean, you were about to say something, so I was giving it to you.
you're giving me the intro. I love it.
Yeah.
No, I was just about to say, it's happy holidays. Holidays are coming around. We recognize that sometimes the holidays might not be the happiest for some people. And if you're alone for the holidays, jump into the Discord, and we've almost always got people in there chatting and having fun. Don't do it alone, and we'll hang out with you and have some fun with you. Um,
Oh yeah, we
it's
will.
great. That's great. And in the words of Real Big Fish, whatever you celebrate, I hope it's the best.
I'll be doing all of my Christmas stuff the weekend after, just how it works out with the folks. So
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy
Merry
Chrysler.
Chrysler.
But in the meantime, when you're trying to find things to get your loved ones and spread the joy that is Black Tower Podcast's tainty taint, blacktowerpod.com for all of our stuff, all of our social media, episodes and stuff from us, merch stores, Patreon, Discord, all that stuff is there. Go and check it out. Share it to your friends, share it to your family. Post it on your local council meetings for your county, for your school, Well, maybe not your school, high school and above, maybe. No, college and above. Let's just be safe, college and above. And city council, that's the one I was trying to think of, and my brain was like, you mean school? No, I mean city council. Don't know what the hell happened there.
Don't know what the hell
Uh,
happened there.
and they can all enjoy the changing conversations we have here, where we talk about topics that some of our lovely supportive patrons have suggested. But before we get into what that topic's gonna be today, you need to be protected from a
Tis true.
dirty, dirty world.
Tis
And
true.
here to protect you from that dirty world is the fabulous at the Lorna of North Harbor.
This is your official spoiler warning. This episode contains spoilers for all 14 books and the prequel. If you're still listening and you haven't read all these, you want to be spoiled, don't you? You crave it. Getting spoiled without putting in the work? Well, get ready. Here it comes.
Oh, Adalorna, you saucy, saucy lady, you.
So, today's episode brought to you by He Who Comes with the Wine, one of his suggestions. What are we going to talk about, Joshy Poo?
So we're talking
Soravani
about
Mahali.
Soravani Mahali.
What are we talking about, Sorry?
Sorry
Sorry about that.
from Canada all of a sudden. Sorry, bud.
Sorry,
Um,
sorry.
okay. What are we talking about tonight? Okay, so it's centered around Matt, right?
Uh,
And Matt has this really interesting character characterization, right? He's characterized in a very interesting way. First off, there's a marked difference between him in the books and him in the show. And so what we kind of want to do, yeah, I know, right? What we kind of want to do is discuss, is Matt a good guy? Is Matt a bad guy? Does he contribute or does he detract? And if so, when does he, when does he go from detraction to contribution? And when does he go from, I don't know, just his sort of journey on what kind of a character he is and how he fits into the character alignments for the other people. Because Rand, we've done his story to death. He is he's a melodramatic teenage boy who turns into Darth Rand, who then comes down off the mountain and becomes Bodhisattva Rand, and it's he's enlightened and it's great. Perrin is Perrin the whole time. He really is. He Perrins it up, and he has a great time doing it. But Matt, it's interesting because as a young, moody, broody teenage boy myself, I really did identify with Rand. Like, it was like, oh yeah, I love Rand. Rand is the best. I love Rand so much. And then as I have gotten older, I'm much more of a Matt guy. Like, look, leave me alone. Let me have a drink. Let me play in, play some games. Let me just chill. I really don't want anything. I don't want anybody coming into me telling me I have to save the world. It's the last thing I want. And so I really kind of identify with Matt there. But when does that become a detraction to the story? Right?
my brain farted like the
Okay.
question right out.
So for instance,
Run that by me one more again, please.
let's start with Matt and the TV show, right? Matt and the TV show, we almost immediately get a sense of him being kind of a skeezy dude, right? They kind of show him he doesn't care about stealing from people, right? He'll steal from people, he'll pawn his stolen goods to Parad Fane and whoever else will take them. And but he is also someone who does that for his sisters. His parents don't really provide all that well, so he goes out and does skeezy things to help provide for his sisters. And I'm like, on one hand, cool. I see where you're going with that. And you're giving us a character who's very resourceful and is willing to participate in morally gray areas, so long as his siblings are taken care of, so long as his family is taken care of. On the other hand, is that a good thing? Where do you draw the line
I mean,
there? So is Matt, just starting out on the TV show, is Matt a good guy or not?
I mean, so one for not answering the real part of the question, answering more of the detraction part of it. It makes some degree of sense. I'm still not a massive fan of it, but in the books, Ran was the only real one that had a massive reason, impetus, and event on Winter Night to shock him into, I've got to go, I've got to do something. Me staying here is dangerous. And my dad, just almost died. I got to grow up now, kind of thing.
Right.
And of course they're aged up slightly. Which again, I was operating this whole time. I don't know why. I feel like this is like a parallel universe shift where like I'm from a universe where in the books they were always like 17 and 18. And now like you go and look and they're like, no, they're always like 19 and 20 in the books. So they were all born in 978 NE, which would make them 19 or 20 by the time the book series starts. I swear I remember them decidedly being like 17, 18 years old, not 20 in the books.
Yeah,
I
but they are.
swear.
Nynaeve is 26 in Lord of
Yeah, I
Chaos,
remember Nynaeve being older, like, being in her
and then
mid 20s. But
yeah,
I
and then,
swear it was always a thing that Perrin, Rand, Egwene, they were all like 17, 18. That was part of the thing that they were
nope.
like older teens.
Yeah,
So
they're early 20s.
that's what I'm saying. It's the
It's
freaking
crazy.
Mandela effect crap. Like I've been shifted from another universe or something. The freaking
Dude,
Hadron Collider shifted me from a universe where it was Berenstein, not Berenstain or whatever.
Berenstain Bears.
Um,
I used to always think it was
yeah,
Berenstein as well.
well, it definitely was. I definitely believe it was. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it definitely feels like it was. But I also could have swore that it was spelt Onyx, ONIX or whatever, or ONYX, like the rock, because it was a big rock snake. Anyway, doesn't matter. Um, just like you have to give Perrin and Matt reasons to leave the two rivers and reasons to grow and an impetus to grow up from who they are in the two rivers.
Right.
Um, and for Matt, I think it's a lot easier for Matt to come from this, given where he needs to be later in the books and what he has to be willing to do later in the books. It's a lot easier, I think, for him to have a moral character development path there if he has the moral redemption from growing up as the impoverished thief that was willing to do whatever to make his sisters happy, to now being willing to do what it takes to save the world, still being willing to go to the not so nice solution, or the maybe not even morally, ethically, or lawfully acceptable solution
Right.
to do what must be done for what is a higher good, which is stealing Dana's bracelet in a town in a village that doesn't really have a lot of valuable stuff just to buy lanterns for a tantamount religious ceremony observance for his sisters
Yeah.
justifiable? Some people might say yes, some people might say no. I don't think it is. I don't think it's justifiable for that. Like, sorry. I get the sentiment. I think it's a beautiful sentiment. He wants to do
Yeah.
that, but I don't think necessarily and at least not definitely not in every case, not in this case. The desire to do something nice doesn't excuse the absolute willingness to do something damaging to your fellow man.
Yeah, and I think right off the bat, sort of a contrast between book Matt and TV show Matt. Book Matt always still did the right thing. Now he might grumble about it. He might do it his
Yeah.
way. But ultimately, he was the kind of guy who couldn't just stand by and let something bad happen, right? And so I mean, for crying out loud, formed the Band of the Red Hand in the books by trying to save people's lives. Stumbled across a band of troops that were walking right into an IL ambush,
Hey,
and
it's one.
he goes to the wine, and he comes back and he's like, no, 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 come this way, haha. And like he's doing the right thing. He had a ticket out. He could have run, he could have rode out, he could have done whatever he wanted to without having to stop and think twice about it. But he wanted to
Mhm.
save those people's lives because in instinctively, intuitively, foundationally, Matt is a good person. And there's
Yeah.
no question about that. The question comes in with Matt struggling with how much responsibility is his, which
Yeah.
I get is a little bit more difficult to do um, on TV than it is in a book. But I don't know. Uh,
I
Whether
mean,
or not I
so
agree with the choice made is here nor there. But I was just going to say the contrast we pull is that TV show Matt is a very much an ends justifies the means character and is willing to perpetrate some evil shit so long as he makes a good thing happen in the end. And it's not a morally gray. I'm going to agree with you. It's not a morally gray area. It's a morally wrong area. And you are morally wrong if you are willing to steal from or hurt someone else in order to, try and do a good thing. Like that's not good.
yeah. So I mean, I'm not gonna say at the start that that's stealing a bracelet, and I'm not saying you're saying this. I'm not gonna say he's evil in
No.
season one, outside of the corruption of the dagger, and that's not necessarily Matt being evil. That's the inherent evil that destroyed Eridol or Shadar Logoth as we know
Yeah.
it now, and has taken root seeking out kind of Matt and is able to latch onto him easier because he does have that kind of moral conundrum and darkness inside him, kind of thing. But Matt in the books has a vastly different lifestyle entirely
Yeah.
than TV show. TV show Two Rivers or Amon's Field is still small village with like larger town style like mentality of the residents. Like in the books, the two Amon's Field was not big enough for anyone to not know that Abel Cawthon was married and any of that kind of stuff. So if Abel Cawthon was flirting around with people, like he would have got thumped over the head in the books. Abel
Yeah.
Cawthon also wasn't that kind of person in the books. Abel Cawthon was one of the more respectable folks in the
Yeah.
books in Amon's Field. Natty Cawthon wasn't a drunkard in the book. She was a very kind and doting mother that punished Matt frequently for his mischievous pranks. And that's what he did. That's the most of what he did. He was a prankster, a jokester. That's why later on the Finn would, call him, gambler, jokester, trickster. That's what he would do. He threw flour all over a dog and let it loose, calling it a dark hound, to mess with the village and that kind of stuff. Like that was the
He
kind of stuff he
dared
did.
someone to name the dark one. Like,
Yeah, mischievous stuff like that, like, trying to sneak away honey cakes with Rand so they could get out of, like, doing work unloading the wagon only to get caught and be like, "Darn it." And he could have definitely been like, "Sorry, Rand, sucks for you, unload the wagon," but he didn't. He stayed and helped his friend
yeah.
because in the books, and I like to think that even in the TV show, given what we've seen through season 2, um, Matt is still a good person at heart, or at least willing to do the right thing. But TV show Matt is coming from a again this thing that strikes me so much about Amon's Field is the Amon's Field in the TV show. Still, it's I can't get over the idea that it's still the small sized village with the spread out families with the same dynamics of a much larger town. Like the Cawthon family isn't just slightly poorer than the rest. They are incredibly impoverished compared to the rest of Amon's Field. And Amon's Field
Yeah,
is not a rich place to begin with. Like,
for sure.
they talk about like one of the most valuable possessions that Amon's Field has is like a localized map, I think, that Master Alvear has hanging in the Wine Spring Inn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
If I
yeah.
remember right, like that's like one of the most prized possessions in the village and one of the most prized possessions of Master Alvear. It was, never this place where Rand was wearing fine woolens, knit shirts, and Perrin was making fancy ornate axes with his wife that didn't exist in the books. And there's Matt sleeping on straw on the floor, cuddling his daughter, or not his daughters, his sisters,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because his mom has spent all of their money getting drunk because his dad is an adulterous womanizer out there spending all whatever money he has on women in the village and getting drunk. Like it's such a gulf of disparity specifically for Matt from the books to the TV show. But
Yeah.
I think it does pave the way for Matt to, instead of having to lose his innocence into becoming the Matt that he does in the books, this way Matt gets to kind of get a bit of a redemption, like a kind of almost rags to riches story. Super cliche in a way, but also I think something that an audience can more easily follow and will kind of feel better for TV show rather
Well,
than watching the mischievous kind of funny haha guy
yeah.
get kind of beaten down a little bit into being willing to go into battle.
Okay, but this is one of the reasons why nowadays I kind of identify a little bit more with Matt though. You have a kid who doesn't take shit seriously, who just wants to, go to a tavern, throw some dice and dandle a fine lady upon his knee and have a drink. And just he doesn't want a lot out of life. He's a very simple guy and just wants to have a good time. But he's the epitome of the age old adage of some are born with greatness and some have it thrust upon them. Matt very much has greatness thrust upon him. He has no choice but to participate, and he does a lot of sort of kicking against the pricks where he does not want to do it. And so the journey then becomes, when does he start taking it seriously? And I will even say real quick, because He Who Comes with Wine made a comment that I really love. It's actually more of a question here. But with the knowledge of past lives, would he do the same thing, or did that change him as a person? Now, I feel like there has to be some kind of change, because you even if Matt Cawthon is still the same Matt Cawthon that let a badger loose on the village green, let's say, now he has experiences. Now he has memories. Now he has understandings that he never had before. And there's so many times where he complains about, how expensive it is to drill soldiers, but if you don't drill them, they die. And as a result, the Band of the Red Hand becomes one of the most well trained military groups because Matt's trying to preserve their lives.
Oh yeah, it's expensive to drill soldiers, but it's more expensive to replace them when they
Yeah.
die.
And so he has this, he almost by accident, I would say. So almost by accident, he sort of stumbles into leadership. And as we talked about it before, the pattern sends people like Talmanis, who basically says, "Nope, this is your military. What you want to do with them?"
Yeah.
And no matter
I
how much
mean,
Matt fights it, like,
the memory, the memories change him in the way where, like, Kyrian, the Battle of Kyrian, for like chief example, the origin of the Band of the Red Hand, basically.
right.
He's sitting there riding around because he's like, I'm just gonna leave. Like, I don't need to be
Yeah,
here. Rand doesn't care if I'm here.
he
I'm
was on
gonna
his way out.
go. Yeah. And he comes across these things, and from his vantage point, he's watching a very obvious ambush about to take place
Right.
and people about to get absolutely massacred. And every time he goes to interfere, he's like, well, it's so obvious. It would just be, it's like super easy. I'm just going to go in, say, hey, you should stop here, wait, or you're going to die, and then just leave. And then maybe they'll recognize me as Rand's friend and they'll listen, stop, and wait, and they'll survive.
Hopefully.
And then he gets there and gets caught up in this conversation. Somebody says something that triggers a memory, and he goes on this rant about a formation or whatever. And by the time he actually is like, okay, well, guys, I'm leaving, the enemy is on top of him, and he can't
Yeah.
leave anymore. And he knows from experience, if he tries to just run away, he's going to get chased down, and he stands a better odd fighting with them. And or at least that's how the first interaction, his first attempt to warn and save people goes. And from there, he's stuck with people that have committed to following him because they're amazed that someone as young as he just perfectly orchestrated their forces into a formation that minimized their own casualties and maximized their defense and the casualties of the opposing force, especially with the opposing force being the Shido Aiel.
Not only that, but he himself can fight.
Yeah. And
And
he's not afraid to fight.
yeah.
So it just continues on from then, because most of the time, like every time somebody else is like, we're going to join with you, he just doesn't care to argue. And he's like, fine, whatever. I'm going this way because I don't want to die. I'm trying to get away from the fight. If you don't want to die, come with me. And then Tavernus takes over and pulls him towards the next group of people that actually need help. I mean, really, he's the contractor that ran around poaching other people's units from their armies. Everybody talks about how cool it is that he built his own army. Nobody talks about
I
how
love that.
kind of shitty it is that he built his own army by stealing units from other nations' armies. Like, how much of the Kyrian and like military did he just take for himself?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all split into the noble house's army, so they're not a single unified army, but how much of the overall defensive power of Kyrian and the surrounding areas that the Shido had plundered did he take with him? And went with him. He didn't take them. They deserted Kyrian
I mean,
and their noble
technically, yeah, that's
houses.
what they did.
So it's a band of deserters, or fairly largely comprised of deserters, that we're just fine with, because I mean, it's not like they deserted fighting; they just deserted like their own.
Talmanas is a carrion and noble, though. So does it
Yeah.
count as deserters? Because Talmanas basically conscripted them and said, "You're mine now." Well, he
Well, I
said, "You're
mean,
Lord
he can
Mats."
only conscript his own subjects. He can't conscript another noble subject.
Well, then another noble would come in and have to figure that out. But
yeah,
I guess to
it's
whatever
one of those things
noble
like, well,
house.
technically this is what happened, but nobody's gonna like be
But
mad
here's the
because
other
his
thing
actions
too.
saved Kyrian. So
At the time, Carrion was like kingless, under siege, largely leaderless in general, and panicky as hell. So anybody in those kinds of situations, anybody who steps up to be a leader is going to. And I think this is why it's
hey,
so
World War II
funny.
Russia wasn't much better off, and they weren't okay with desertion.
Touche. No,
I'm not
I
saying
was
that they
gonna
did the
say,
right thing, but
that's why I think it's so kind of interesting that Matt's journey is what it is, because he wasn't looking to be a noble.
he's a sanctuary person for draft dodgers.
Yeah, he wasn't
That's
looking.
so messed up to say. Like, I'm joking. Clearly, I'm joking. But it's a funny way to it's a kind of funny way to think about how the Band of the Red Hand forms.
I mean, You're not wrong though. But he showed up not out of some kind of maneuvering to be in charge, not out of some kind of
Mm,
maneuvering to be in power. He showed up with the sole desire to protect and defend and
yeah.
save people's lives. And what he's missing, and one of the running gags in the books that I love, and I'm wondering to see how they're going to incorporate this in the TV show. But one of the things is he doesn't like nobles because he thinks they're all proud, arrogant, rich jerks who have no real contribution to society. Like that's his sort of uh outlook on that. And then when people say, "Oh, Lord Matt," he's like, "I am not a lord. I work for a living." The old
Mm,
crusty enlisted guys that are like, "Don't call me sir. I work for a living." Ha ha ha. And you're
oh
just
yeah.
like, "Yeah, you're fine."
Matt's definitely like Sergeant Major energy.
Yeah. And that's Matt, right? And he shows up, he knows what he's doing, and he tells people, "Do this, do this, do this, and you'll live." And they do, and they go, "Wow, Matt knows what he's doing. He saved us from the Shido." They don't look at it as him saving them; they look at it as him leading them to glory.
Mm,
And so they immediately start following him, and he doesn't realize that it's not because he was vying for power; it's because he showed that he has noble qualities that people appreciate, and he collects a following because that's what he do.
mm. Well, early on, he's also like everything he tells them to do. He's like, it doesn't take. It's like this isn't leadership. I'm just telling you to do what's obviously necessary.
Right.
And later on, like it doesn't take a terribly long time for him to figure out it's because of the memories and his luck and that kind of stuff. So he stops kind of realizing or thinking that what he's saying is so obvious to everybody else. And it is the sum, like Talmanes and what's his face? My lord's leg is not a side of beef, of course.
Narum.
Yeah, and Narum and them, like they kind of like start picking up on it, and by the end, clearly, like Talmanes is not on par with Matt, but he's not that far behind Matt in terms of like military
Yeah.
and strategic prowess because he's been watching and learning from Matt this whole time.
Yeah.
Who has the ultimate combat general hacks installed in his brain hole. Um,
Ugh.
but he realizes kind of what's going on later on and is just very much okay with telling folks, I think this is the obvious way to position for this battle. This is the obvious formation to use for this battle. These are the types of units we need for a standing, like defensible military to be able to go where we're going and be able to defend ourselves and accomplish the task at hand. And nobody really is as familiar with these because a lot of his tactics and a lot of how he chooses to position his forces and train his forces and utilize his forces are tactics and strategies that haven't been seen since Otter Hawkwing and before.
Right.
So they're like lost strategies and lost configurations and formations potentially, which is why whenever he does meet a lot of the five great captains, they're just like, we didn't know anyone knew the Hawking X Force Formation 37 Blue Hut. Like, we thought it was lost to time. It never works except in this very specific situation that never happens in battle, except against you, Lord Cawthon.
you
And
know
he's
you
just
know
like,
the
I'm not a lord, but also I'm Taviran, so that kind of shit happens all the time.
I think the character flip, I think I'm going to say it, I think the character flip does come after Ruidian, when he gets all these memories of all these previous generals, because it's kind of an interesting situation, right? Because Matt is still the same guy. He still wants to go to a bar, he still wants to have a drink, still wants to flirt with the girls a little bit and have a great time. He does not want to be in the middle of these battles. He does not want to be in the history books. He does not want to be a hero of the Horn. But those memories of old generals kind of give him no choice because he's a good person. And he knows that if something needs doing, then you need to get the right person for the job. And as much as he hates it, a lot of these things, he's the right person for the job. And he cannot, in good conscience, leave that to someone else who's not going to do as good of a job as he can do. That's book Matt. The problem with TV show Matt is we've already seen that he doesn't care who he burns so long as he thinks that the ends justify the means. If the ends are his sisters are still alive, he doesn't care about leading the band. If the end is, people dead, but whatever the end is, it doesn't matter what the end is. If he deems it good, then he's willing to do whatever it takes, which is the literal actual plot point of Shale Ghul, or not Shale Ghul, Eridol. What's the name of the city? I can remember
Shadar
Eridol.
Logoth.
Shadar Logoth. Thank you. He's literally an incarnation of Shadar Logoth. I don't care what evil shit I have to do as long as I get done what I want done, what I need done. And so TV show Matt is going to have a much different journey figuring out where he belongs in this equation.
Well, the thing that's also a little more complicated for him. So the things that make you the person that you are your lived experiences and how you cope and deal with them and how you understand them and remember them. So it makes an abundance of sense, an abundant amount of sense. I don't know, however that should be phrased. That Matt in the books changes as a person after the gaps in his memory are filled. So he changes when he gets the gaps in his memory, clearly from the dagger, because he no longer has all of those experiences to kind of guide him into who he is and who he has been. And then he changes again once those memories and those holes are filled, because now he's got the lived experiences of all these other generals that are in his head and are over time merging with his own memories as if he directly lived them rather than are remembering them from past lives. So it alters his perception of the reality. I mean, if you suddenly had a third of your life's history erased and replaced with a multitude of different lived experiences from other people that you never knew, and then slowly over time those experiences integrated more and more seamlessly with your own memories to where you felt like they were indeed your own, it would change who you are. Because you would be like, well, in this situation that happened in the past, similar to this, I did this, and that's just who I am. And only people that knew you before the memory swap or whatever would be able to tell a difference, and that you're acting differently than you used to. But it makes sense. The thing
Well,
that I don't know how they're going to do that with the book or with the show is you had the dagger, so you had the chance that, and he still has the dagger, so you have a chance for him to have gaps in his memory, and you have a chance to bring in the Finn and have the gaps in the memory talked about and filled, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the course taken, because when he blows the Horn of Valir in season 2, he looks at the heroes of the Horn and goes, "I remember, I'm one of you."
yeah, I didn't like that.
And yeah, I'm not a I just I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the things that was so cool about what Matt did in the books was by the end of it, they were like, the heroes of the horn were basically like, you could be one of us if you wanted to. You just basically have to make the decision that you want to, when you die,
Yeah.
and you'll be a hero of the horn. I guess you could make the argument that if time is a circle and he would make that decision, then he would have already made that decision in the past potentially. So he could be one. And they're just like, yeah, we can't tell you because you're currently alive that you already are a hero of the horn if you don't remember it. So maybe that part of his brain was eaten by the dagger and got replaced with memories that won't evolve to that part. And then he's going to die and be
Yeah.
like, oh, all the memories I got are actually
Well,
my past lives as a hero of the horn. But
they say that
they say love, it is a river.
was it they say good judgment comes from experience and experience comes from bad judgment,
Yeah.
right? Matt got the life hack cheat code where he got 1,000 other people making bad judgment calls for him.
They made bad fucky
So,
wucky and sometimes slept in the forever box.
and he got the benefit of learning from those lessons. So, is he still the same old Matt Cawthon? Yes, he is. Like at the very end of the book, doesn't he talk to Rand about like capturing a badger to set loose somewhere
Yeah.
in like a memory of light? And he's like, ha ha
See,
ha, yeah.
that's the thing. I don't think his memories regarding Rand and Perrin were touched, especially the ones with Rand. I think the pattern needed him to still have that very strong childhood
Oh,
bond with that. So I
yeah,
don't think the pattern would have I don't want to say would have allowed, but would have worked for those memories to have been corrupted by the dagger. So I think he would have kept those to keep that strong bond because again, until Tarmangaiden was done, the pattern needed the three of them to be incredibly strongly
yeah,
bonded together. Even though after a certain point, they fucking never see each other again, pretty much in the books. There's
yeah,
still that incredibly strong bond, and they wind up being where the other needs without having to see each other.
yeah. I think the Stone of Tear is the last time that all three of them are together in the same room. I know
I
throughout
think
the
so.
series,
Yeah, because that's
Rand,
when they do the fake argument with Perrin, right?
yeah, Rand and Matt hang out, Matt and Perrin hang out, Perrin and Rand hang out. Like they see each other again, but the that's the last time that Rand, Matt, and Perrin are in the same room at the same time, which is actually kind of sad.
Yeah. Imagine Rand talking to Perrin. Well, I guess it would be more than talking to Perrin. He's like, "My friend, where were you? I got married. She's pregnant.
I
We
guess
fought a whole battle."
this makes another question though with regards to Matt. When Rand and Matt met at the end of the books, like was Matt going out of his way to be like, "Hey, I'm the same old guy that you know," right? Because at this point in time, he thinks Matt Rand is insane, which Rand is. But
This is before Bodhisattva ran.
yeah, it is.
No, I'm asking because like I don't exactly remember the exact kind of time that you're talking about.
It. You know what? Here's the thing. I think it is Bodhisattva's Rand because Rand meets with Fortuona and tries to impose his
Fortune prick
will.
me. Oh, she will.
His tries to impose his will on her, and then goes up, has the revelation, comes down, and starts working with all the enlightenment powers that he gained, and that's when he like grows the peach tree. But he and Matt have this like lighthearted conversation, and that's when they do the bragging. They have the little, haha, well, I did this. Well, I did this. Well, I did this. Kind of showing it's a real sweet moment, right? Because it kind of shows that they are still the same kids that left the Two
Isn't
Rivers a year or so ago.
Are you talking about like when they're talking after they kind of do the whole Dragon's Peace meeting thing at the Field of Merlor, and Matt gets command of all the forces of the light.
Well,
after well, that doesn't happen right then there because Elaine gets
she gets
command of
sole
all of the
command,
forces initially.
and then
But then after
she
she's
rolls out.
indisposed, Matt takes over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's
it's
during like that when they're talking about everything that Matt makes the joke about the badger, right?
yeah. It's the they have the
Kind of in
meeting
that
at the
same
Field
time
of
frame
Merlor.
right before the last battle.
They get everyone to sign the treaty, and then everybody goes, "What about the Shan Chan?" And Rand says, "If you sign this, I will get the Shan Chan to sign this treaty. I guarantee I will get them to sign this treaty." And they're all like, "Cool. If you can get them to agree to this, then we will sign." So then he goes and meets with Empress Fortuona. May she live forever. And that's when he meets up with Matt, sees Matt, because at this point in time, Matt is married to her and has become no tie and is kind of
Oh, the Prince of
managing
Ravens and everything.
her, yeah, managing her military. And so they meet up a little bit, and Rand has to like kind of apologize to her for the way he acted at their last meeting. But he basically says, "Hey, this is it. This is the deal. This is what I have everybody agreed to for 100 years, and I'm sorry, this is just how it is." And he ends up like I said, growing like a peach tree. And Fortuna's like, "Oh, that's the most powerful omen of peace and prosperity," and or something like that. But she eventually agrees, and I think Matt is over there like, "Hey, please do this." But yeah, but Matt, all that to say that Matt in the end is still that same, little scamp. He's just smarter. He has more experience and more resources, basically. He's the kid that was given a chance and rose to the occasion because like I said in the books, he is very much written as a good person. A person who
Mm.
wants to do good things, a person who has no lofty ambitions. I don't think that ever changes either. And as a matter of fact, there's even the speech about the boots. Someone finally asks him, "What the hell? Why do you hate nobles so much?" And he's like, "I had to listen to so and so brag about having 9 pairs of boots. What would you ever need that many boots for?" And it shows that he really maintains a very down to earth, very humble perspective, regardless of how much power he has, regardless of how much experience he has. He's still able to say, he's still able to crack a joke. So it's a real interesting character shift. His personality, I don't think changes, but his capability does, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, he he does kind of give in to some of the nicer things in life, despite the horrific events with Thailand, he does give in to, well, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of lace,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and being fine with that. But everywhere he goes, he still enjoys like the same things he did early on. He still enjoys gambling. Um, he still enjoys like going for horse rides and betting with his men. He prefers to stay with his men, and the only times he doesn't is when they're trying to what is it when they're moving across and they're trying to be as loudly sneaky as they can
Yeah.
because they want Samael to know that where they are, but they want it to look like they're kind of trying to be sneaky and they're just bad at it or whatever.
Yeah.
So he stays at inns in every town they go by, and he's like, "This is bullshit. Why am I staying here? I would much rather be with my men rather than being in this
Yeah.
town. I feel like a dick." And again, I forgot the dude's name. My lord's leg is not a side of beef.
Nelisian.
Yeah, Nelisian is just like every time, just like, yes, my lord, of course, my lord. And Matt's just like, I really want to punch you in the dick. But Oliver's over there, and he would take it as something that you're allowed to do, so I can't.
Right. Nelson. That's it.
Nelson.
No.
Now,
Sane. Or if you're Irish, Sean.
that's how you say. That's how you know that you're done with a certain portion of acting in the South. Now, scene.
Yep.
We're done.
Sane. We're done.
But I think
Done
as we
diddly
move
did
into
it.
final thoughts here, if that wasn't already pretty much fine, I think that pretty much was final thoughts. But I think Matt is one of those like chaotic good alignment in the books for sure. He will do the roundabout way, and he will try to do things the right way if he can, if it makes sense and doesn't needlessly put people at risk or in danger.
Yes.
That's his chief thing. His chief thing is keeping as many people as safe as he can uh, for whatever's going on. That's his biggest thing, keeping people safe and alive. Um, Beyond that, it's pretty much whatever goes. Like he instills pretty harsh discipline on the band of the Red Hand. You know, they're not allowed to be exceedingly belligerent and drunk. And well, they can get drunk all they want, but they can't be belligerent and start problems in the towns and stuff they're around. And if they are, they get severely punished by the band. And the band pays like reparations to the town for any damages. Um, he's a very good leader and very good hearted, but you know he's not above using the tactics necessary to achieve the victory that is important. That is, you know, there's a point where the need for victory outweighs the need for doing things the proper way or the cautious way. And he
Right.
hates making the decision, but he does it when he needs to. TV show Matt, uh, very much is willing to do whatever he feels he needs to do the right to get whatever he wants done. I think how much of it is for the sake of an earnest better good or a greater good remains to be seen, because I don't think there was any greater good in stealing somebody's bracelet so that you could buy paper lanterns for your sisters. Um,
Especially
I
when you can make them.
Yeah.
Like they're
Um, I don't see any good in lying to everybody else about you finding and taking something from lying to your friends. I could see lying to like Moraine and
yeah.
Egwene and Lan, but there's no point in lying to the others about it. Like, but I guess you could blame that on the corruption of the dagger at that point. Um, and the blowing of the wine decanter of Valir, because you see half a platoon of Shan Chan. I was just he felt he had to do it kind of thing. Like he was like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna die. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a well. I think TV show Matt deserves some grace and a remains to be seen.
Well, I would 100% agree with that. And I think your
Nothing better
classification of chaotic
on your
good
contract.
is is accurate on both, but the distinction comes with Matt is very selfless. TV show Matt is very selfish.
Mm,
And you can
I think that's
make
good.
the case and you can say all you want. Oh, he didn't steal that bracelet for himself. He stole it for his sisters. And therefore that makes it a selfless act. No, it's still a very selfish act. You don't get to steal something from someone so that you can provide for someone else. You're not
So that you
Robin
look
Hood.
better for someone else.
Yeah.
I
And it's
stole a TV from Walmart to give to you for Christmas. Look at how good
yeah,
of a person I am.
doesn't
No.
make you a better person. It just doesn't. And TV show Matt has some real character insufficiencies in which he's going to have to learn. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, yeah. He is a common thief. He's not
Yeah.
a good guy. And
That's why
I
if you
know we want to say,
look on the Phantom Wiki for the occupation for Matt, it lists him as a farmer and a thief.
oh really?
Yeah, for TV show Matt. His
Oh, geez.
position, hero of the horn. Occupation, farmer and thief. Position, hero of the horn. It's kind of funny.
I
Like it's
don't.
not like untrue or impossible, but it's just kind of funny to see those right by each other.
Yeah, yeah, weird. Anyway, ultimately he's chaotic good, but you have to take into account what that means. Why is someone chaotic good? Are they chaotic good because they're noble and they're creative and crazy? Or are they chaotic good because they're selfish and they'll do whatever they want to do what they think is right? And there is a fine distinction
Mhm.
between the two. And one of those is a good person and one of those is not a good
Do they
person.
do it because ends justify the means or because there's no other way?
Exactly. So we'll see what happens with season 3. Season 3 Wheel of Time TV show is coming out in March of 2025. If you
March
so
13th
desire,
to be
that's correct.
specific.
It's going to be right after my birthday. Wheel of Time
To the
contacted
ripe
me.
old age of
They called me
87.
up on the phone and they were like, Josh, booby, let's do this. And I was like, when are we doing it? And they said, for your birthday. And I said, oy vey, you're doing it for my birthday. And they was like, yeah, boy, we want to do it for your birthday. And it was great. It was great. So
13
thanks.
keeps coming up. Yeah, it does. It's a very popular number in Western culture.
It is. It's true. Anyway, thanks for hearing us talk about Matt and his alignment and character growth,
His morality.
contrast between book and TV show. If you have some thoughts that maybe we didn't cover, or if you have some things that you thought maybe we just got dead wrong, hey, leave them in the comment below, and we'll have a conversation about them. Thanks for tuning in this week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being awesome. And thanks for taking this week's dose of taint. We hope wherever you are, you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here. You know me. I'm Josh.
That is true. That is an accurate statement. You are Josh. No Joshin, just Josh.
No Josh in this Josh.
Oh, I wish someone would Josh my Josh. Anyway, I've
Yeah.
been Andrew. Thank you all again for tuning in. Please be sure if you enjoy what we do here, check us out on all of our social medias. Subscribe, like the video, share it to your peoples if you would be so kind. It really helps us out a lot. We love you for it. And we will see you all again next week. Bye bye.